So today we're going to talk about ocean zones. My little witchy finger. Okay, so we're going to talk about ocean zones today. So we have talked about the ocean floor. So how they have determined what parts of the ocean are what. All right, so we're going to talk about the ocean zone. So again, we get to have a really cool drawing of my awfulness, but so if I'm doing this, you're going to do it, and then afterwards it's going to go and live in your science binder or your binder under the science tab. Okay, so I'm going to start out by titling my page Ocean Zones. That looks horrible, but okay, and then I'm going to create an ocean floor, but I'm not going to make it as detailed as what we did Tuesday. So I'm going to come up here and make my continental shelf. Okay. Then I'm going to make my continental slope. Right. Okay. Then I'm going to make my continental rise right here. And then the abyssal plain. Right. Then I'm going to have a little trench. All right. And then some more of the abyssal plain. Okay. So the ocean has three zones. Okay. And there are 3 zones that we have to know about. So, and they're broken up into 3 different categories that have different characteristics. So the first zone, okay, is going to be at the top. All right. And it's a small part of the ocean. It's not a lot of the ocean, because remember, the ocean is very huge, very vast, and what we see of it only makes up a small part of it. So the first zone is called the sunlight zone. Okay, so it's the sunlight zone. This is where most of the animals live. This is where fish live, sharks live, and we call it the sunlight zone because you can see the sun goes through the water. So all the plant life lives here. Most of the animals live here. Okay, so I'm going to put a little star and say that most life lives here. And if you think about it, okay, so let's think about last week when we were talking about plants. What do plants do? Well, they make photosynthesis. To do photosynthesis, what do they have to have? They have to have sunlight. So it would make sense that the only place that plants would be able to live would be the sunlight zone, because they have to be in an area where the sun can get to them. So you're thinking about the plants that live in the ocean, the phytoplankton that we talked about, and then just plants like seaweed, kelp, things like that. They have to be in an area where they can get that sun. So that's why they only live in the sunlight zone. The water here is the warmest. Okay, because again, why would it be warmer than an area down here? Well, if the sun can't be down here, it's not going to be able to warm it up. So the warmest water is going to be at the sunlight zone, because that's where the sun can get through to. Okay, I'm going to draw some amazing little fish for you. Okay, so there's my little fish. I'm not going to draw a shark because I don't do a very good job, but this is where most of the life lives. Okay, and then the next one is going to be twilight. So it's a little bit bigger than the sunlight zone. I'm always afraid I'm going to spell twilight for some reason, which I think I may have just done it. Yep, there's an eye on that. So the twilight zone. So sometimes we call twilight like dusk. So right when the sun's setting, but there's still a little bit of light, but it's getting ready to be dark. So that's the twilight zone. There's just a little bit of sun. There's animals like octopus and whales. They can live in the twilight zone. It gets colder, so animals can't survive in the twilight zone like they can the sunlight zone. They can maybe hang out there, but they're not going to be able to live there. That's not going to be where they normally are. So I'm gonna try to draw a whale. Okay. Let me look at my old notes here because I had better. No, I didn't have anything. All right, so I'm just going to write big whales and the squid. I'll save you from my horrible drawing. And then the biggest part of the ocean, the one that has the most area, is the midnight zone. Now, if we were in class, I would go, okay, well, somebody tell me why it's called the midnight zone. So it's called the midnight zone because it's completely dark. Light doesn't go there. The only light that is there is the fish that can create their own light, bioluminescence. So fish, the same kind of lights that lightning bugs make, the bioluminescence fish make. Like the anglerfish is the only one that's coming to mind, but he makes his own light. So this is just dark. Now there are animals that live there, but it is animals like the anglerfish that can create their own light and can withstand the cold and all that pressure. So what was I right here? Darkness. And I'm going to say limited life. If you've ever watched Shark Week on Discovery Channel, there's a shark called the goblin shark, and he lives in the midnight zone, and it is terrifying looking. He looks like an alien. His skin is very like see-through, and his jaw does this weird thing. I'll have to try to link a picture in one of our Canvas assignments so you can see him. So this is where things like sea spiders, and I'm going to write that down. So we've got sea spiders, goblin sharks. We'll add him on here. And then down here in the trench, we have tube worms. They live down there. So, we're talking like 19,000 feet down, that's how low that this goes. So I want you to remember that with the ocean, okay, it gets, the deeper you go, and I'll repeat this later too, like in other lessons, the deeper you go, there's more pressure. Okay, so when I say pressure, if you go into a pool and you dive into the deep end, it hurts your ears a little bit, and you can probably feel a little bit of pressure on your chest, and pressure is just like something pushing. So when you get into the ocean, when you dive in, there's a lot of pressure. So the further down you go, the more pressure you have. So we can't go that far. I think a free dive, like you can go like 1,000 feet, and that is pushing it. Because it's too hard on your chest and your lungs, because water's heavy, and that's why it creates pressure. So if you think about how much a gallon milk weighs, how heavy a gallon milk is, just 1 gallon, think about that in terms of like a pool, how many gallons of water is in there and how heavy that would be. So when we talk about water pressure, we're talking about really how heavy water is. And when you go into water and all that pressure is on you, your body can only take so much. So that's why we can't swim that deep. But some animals, the fish, are built that way. So they have adaptations, which we will talk about soon, with their body, and they're made to do that. But humans can't. But the deeper you go, the more pressure is on, it's more pressure built up. Because there's more water, it's heavier. It's also going to get colder, okay? The deeper you go, the less sunlight can penetrate. So, like, if you just think about a pool, I keep going back to it, but more of us probably swim in a pool than we do oceans. I know I don't swim in the ocean, but I do love a pool. So when you get into a pool and get into the shallow end, it's warmer because the sunlight can hit that water and go all the way through. As where the 8 feet of a pool is going to be colder because the sunlight can't go all the way through as quickly as it does the 3 feet. So when you get down here, it's going to be super, super cold. All right, and then it's also the same thing. It's going to be darker. Same reason. You can't see as the sun can't go through all that water, those layers of water. Okay. So that is all I wanted to include on our notes. But I am going to do something a little different today. It was a little activity I did last year in my classroom that I really liked. And we kept them up for, I don't know, like 2 months. So copy this down. I'll scan it in so you'll have it. And then I want you to put it in your binder in the science tab. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to make water. I'm going to make seawater. And I just want you to see what it would look like and what I'm talking about. Okay. All right. So I'm going to pour some water into my jug, my little, not jugs, Tupperware dishes. Okay. And I'm going to put food coloring in it just to give you an idea of what the water looks like. So actually that was probably too much water or too much blue. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. We'll pour a little bit more water in there. Actually, that's probably going to be Twilight Zone. So I'm going to mix that up. Okay, so there's the Twilight Zone. So I sort of did this out of order. So that's the Twilight Zone. Let me do the Sunlight Zone. It's all coming back to me now. I have to remember that you barely put any food coloring in the Sunlight Zone. So what I have to do, I've got food coloring here, and I'm going to add just a little bit. Ooh, and that barely. Yeah, that's better. All right, so that is our Sunlight Zone. Okay. And then I'm going to... Well, number one, I'm going to put the lids on these before I end up dumping all this on my computers. Well, that would be my luck. Ugh. Okay, so now I'm going to put some water into this one. Oh, I had just enough. Oh, what? Write that down. That never happens. Okay, so I'm going to add a bunch of blue. And I'm going to add a little bit of red. So just mix it all up. So this just shows you how the light can penetrate through. When I say penetrate, I mean go through. How the light can go through the water. Okay. All right. All right, and then I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to... Yeah, we'll just do that. Okay. So, well, I guess It's not gonna work. I don't know what I was thinking. This I do, because I can do this. Okay, so that is the midnight zone. Okay. So you can barely see through it. I cannot see through any of the light. I'm going to take the tubs back off, the lids. And there is the twilight zone. So you can still sort of see, but not very good. Not very well. And then the sunlight zone. You can definitely see right through that. You can see my fingers. So I'm going to take the lids off so you can see again. Okay, so this is the sunlight zone. All right. The light, you can see all the way through to the bottom. You can tell that if there was an animal in that, you would be able to see. So I'm going to pretend like my paperclip is an animal. Okay. You can see that. There could be plants in the sunlight zone. Almost all the animals live in the sunlight zone. Some whales, sharks, all fish usually live. Most fish live in the sunlight zone. Dolphins. Okay, so that's the sunlight zone. The light can penetrate through, can go through. All right. Then we've got the twilight zone. We can still see pretty good. There's some light able to get through. I'm going to drop paperclip. But look at the difference between the sunlight zone and the twilight zone. I'll raise this up. All right, so sunlight zone versus twilight zone. Okay. And then we've got the midnight zone. All right, I'm going to pop a paper clip in here and let's see if you can see it. All right, think to yourself, are we going to be able to see this paper clip? Nope. Light can't go through that. No sun can live there. No plants live in the midnight zone, okay? All right, so we have midnight zone, our twilight zone, and then we've got sunlight zone, okay? So think to yourself, which zone is going to have animals? Most animals, okay? Which zone is not going to have many animals, okay? And then this zone's not going to have, just have a couple. And if they live in the midnight zone, they have to have special adaptations to keep them there, okay? All right. I will have another video for you to watch about the animals in the ocean zones, and then you'll have a quick activity, okay? All right, guys, I will be talking to you soon. Bye.